Hi friends, this is me Payal Dutta. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, ding dong, please don't forget to subscribe. Today we will be doing the poem The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. We will first do the line-by-line explanation, followed by MCQs, and finally we will solve the question answers that can come from this poem. So without much delay, let us quickly start the line-by-line explanation. Now this poem was published in the collection called Mountain Interval. Now let us read the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. So in the opening line itself, the poet informs the readers about the setting of the poem. It opens with a visual imagery where the speaker of the poem is standing at a point where the road is diverging into two. Diverge means to split, to divide. The two roads separated in a yellow wood. Now yellow wood symbolizes fall. It symbolizes the autumn season. The leaves of the trees have turned yellow. This is an example of metonymy. What is a metonymy? Metonymy is a figure of speech where a word is substituted for another word having a similar concept. Here, yellow wood suggests autumn. It suggests fall. Therefore, it is a metonymy. So the speaker is in a yellow wood where the road has diverged into two, and now he has to choose one path to proceed in his journey. So what does he say? "I'm sorry, I could not travel both." So he regrets that he cannot travel both the roads. There is a sense of regret, a sense of lamentation from the very beginning of the poem, even before the speaker has made a choice. So this is one of the major themes of the poem. The theme of making choices, the theme of regret, and being one traveler. The speaker here speaks about individualism. He is a solo traveler, and therefore long I stood. He was in a dilemma. A dilemma of what? Dilemma of making a choice. He seems confused, and so he stood long trying to decide which road he should explore. Here the speaker's action reflects an introspective tone. "And looked down one as far as I could." So the speaker observed one of the pathways as far as he could perceive, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Undergrowth means a jungle, a forest, the woods. The speaker tried to see through the dense woods as far as he could. He could see the forest to a certain point, a bent. So the speaker was standing in the yellow woods where the wood diverged, it separated into two parts. The speaker lamented that he could not journey both the tracks, and therefore he stood at the junction and tried to decide which path he would take. And while deciding, he first looked at a pathway where the path curved at a distance. Now, if we see this poem from a metaphorical angle, the road is an extended metaphor. What is an extended metaphor? Extended metaphor is like a metaphor that is used to compare things. But unlike metaphors that are used for a certain moment, a single moment in the poem, extended metaphor keeps on unfolding itself with the progress in the poem. It is omnipresent. Here, the metaphor of the road is an extended metaphor that is used to symbolize the life choices, which acts like a skeleton in the poem. Therefore, it is omnipresent and an extended metaphor. Now, there are several situations that we face in life where we must make a choice. Here, the yellow wood is a metaphor of all the ideas that we have to choose from. Among all the ideas, we have to pick one. We cannot undertake them all because we are one traveler. We are an individual making a journey of life. That is why introspection is required before making a final decision. One should take his time before deciding so that he does not look down. He does not feel sorry for making such a decision. He must look down as far as he can to see the impact of his choice on his future. The dense future that can be predicted only till the bent. That is the vision of the future that is limited. Now, before we move on to the second stanza, note the use of and in the first stanza. In the first stanza, the second, third and fourth line begin with the same term, and. This is an example of anaphora. Anaphora is a figure of speech where successive lines begin with the same word or the same phrase. So because all these lines are successive and they begin with the word and, that is why it is an example of an anaphora. Now let us read the second stanza. Then took the other. Then means after observing the first path, the speaker, he decided to take the other one, the second path. He took the other. And the other path was just as fair. It was equally good as the first one, and having perhaps the better claim. Better claim means the condition of the second path was supposedly better. It was perhaps more preferable. The term perhaps is very significant here because it highlights the theme of uncertainty. It projects the dilemma and confusion in the speaker's mind. The speaker states the reason why he chose the second path and not the first one, even though it was equally fair. Because it was grassy and wanted wear. Note here, wanted wear is an example of an alliteration. An alliteration is a figure of speech where two words that lie side by side begin with the same letter. So, wanted where both the terms begin with the letter W, that is why it is an alliteration. So the speaker chose the grassy path because he was tempted by its appearance. It seemed that the path wanted where? Wants. Wanted means that it wanted to be worn out. It wanted a traveler to walk through it. Here, the path wanting a traveler to travel on its path is a personification. Because you see, human-like attributes are being given to the road. The road is wanting. Wants are related to living beings, to human beings, and you are attributing the feeling of desire to a non-living thing like road, the pathway. That is why this is a personification. We usually want things that we don't have. So the road seemed to lack travelers, and therefore it welcomed the speaker by provoking him, tempting him with its grassy appearance. Though for for the first path, which the speaker dismissed, rejected, that here refers to the road that was not taken. The passing there had warned them really about the same. So here again the phrase about the same evokes a theme of uncertainty. So it was about the same. The speaker does not say that it was the same. It was about. So there is something uncertain. The speaker says that both the paths appeared the same and both the roads wanted where. However, as a single traveler, the speaker chose the second grassy path. So we see in life too, we face situations where there are multiple options. All the options might seem good and tempting. All the options might seem to be provoking. But we have to settle with one decision. That choice will determine our future. So here the speaker is showing the impact of free will on our fate, the impact of our choice on our destiny. Now the third stanza. And both that morning equally lay. On that autumn morning, both the paths looked equally. Equally means they looked similar. The path lay in front of the speaker. The path looked same because they were both covered with autumn leaves. In leaves, no step had trodden back. Trodden means to walk. Because it was early in the morning, no one had stepped on the dry leaves on either of the roads. Therefore, the dry leaves fallen on the ground had no footprints, no step marks of travelers on them. Trodden black. Trodden black refers to the footprints of the travelers. When travelers walk and stamp on these dry leaves, what happens? They leave their footprints. The leaves turn black. And no one had stepped on them that morning. So both the roads were looking equally fair, equally good. Here note the phrase trodden black. This is an example of a hyperbaton. Hyperbaton is the inversion of normal order of words. We usually say the adjective before the noun. Right, we say a beautiful girl. But see the adjective here has been used after the term trodden, that is after the noun. So there is an inversion of the normal order. That is is why this is an example of a hyperbaton. Oh, I kept the first for another day. So the speaker exclaims with sorrow that he cannot explore the first path, and so he wishes to undertake that journey another day. Your another day again evokes uncertainty. The speaker says, yet knowing how way leads on to way. That is, he was aware that the roads lead to new routes. They are perpetual, they are never ending. So he doubted, again a sense of uncertainty. If I should ever come back, he knew that it was almost impossible for him to return to the junction where he was standing, because he would never get the same experience in the same condition again. In this stanza, the poet is telling us that once we make a choice in life, we cannot undo it. Every choice leads to a new situation, and situations are never ending. Thus, one dilemma of choice, one's decision of choice leads to a new dilemma, a new decision of choices. We can never return to the dismissed, rejected choices, because the situation changes, and with that the conditions of life that changes too. The experiences change. Even if we undertake the rejected choices in future, the situation in life that will no longer remain the same. Now the final stanza, the fourth stanza, it opens with an irony. The speaker is lamenting. The speaker laments his decision. He says, I shall be telling this with a sigh. So the theme of regretting is highlighted here. He sighs, he laments that his decision has made him sad. His fate is affected by his free will to choose, and that has caused such a regret in his life. Somewhere ages and ages hence. So he would complain about his past decision in the future. The uncertain future. Somewhere in future. Now note here, ages and ages. This is an example of dicope. What is dicope? Dicope is a figure of speech where a single word is repeated with a few words in between. If you read the third stanza, you will see there is a dicope there too in the fourth line. Now I want you to spot the dicope there in the third stanza and write it in the comments below. Now, if you have spotted it rightly, then yes, you are right. It is. Way leads on to way, because see, it is beginning with way, ending with way, and you have few words in between. So it is also a dicope. So the speaker says that he will sigh in future that two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by. So he would narrate his past decision and tell how he prioritized individualism by taking the path that was grassy, that was less travelled by, less explored. And that has made all the difference. How that has changed his journey. So metaphorically, the decisions we make shape our journey in life, which we recount somewhere ages and ages hence. So the speaker states that he took the more challenging, unique decision that was not attempted by many, and that has led to his lamentation. So, written in 4 stanzas using iambic tetrameter, this poem shows the impact of chance and choices in our life. The uncertainty and regrets of life is depicted. One thing you must know from Lawrence Thompson's account is that Robert Frost, he had a Welsh friend, a Welsh pal, and his name was Edward Thomas. And Frost and Thomas, they went hiking together. Frost described him as a person who, whichever road he went, would be sorry he didn't go the other. So the speaker in this poem could have been inspired by him. So with this, we have completed the line-by-line explanation of the poem. If you have any doubt from the poem, you can feel free to ask me in the comment section below. I will definitely answer. Until now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And now we will move on to the MCQs that can come from this poem. So I have prepared 25 MCQs. I want you to count how many MCQs you get correctly and write them at the end in the comment section below. That is, what is your score? How much have you understood? So you will be getting exactly 10 seconds time to answer each question. So question number 1. In the opening line of the poem, yellow symbolizes dash. Option A, summer. Option B, winter. Option C, autumn. Or option D, spring. Hurry. This is very easy. Very good. It is autumn, the season of fall. So yellow symbolizes autumn. Now number 2. This poem was published in the collection called dash. Option A, Hills Interval. Option B, Mountain Interval. Option C, Atlantic Monthly Magazine. Or option D, New Monthly Magazine. Which magazine or which journal was this poem first published in? Very good. It is the Mountain Interval. This poem was first published in the collection called Mountain Interval. Now number 3. Yellow wood is an example of dash. Option A, simile. Option B, personification. Option C, oxymoron. Or option D, metonymy. Which of the following is correct? Excellent! It is metonymy. Yellow wood is used to symbolize autumn. It is replacing the term autumn. So that is why it is an example of metonymy. Number 4. Road in the poem is an dash. Option A, antithesis. Option B, alliteration. Option C, extended metaphor. Or option D, oxymoron. Very good. Road in the poem is an extended metaphor. Now number 5. In the opening stanza, the use of and in successive lines is an example of dash. Option A, metonymy. Option B, anaphora. Option C, polysyndeton. Or option D, hyperbaton. Bravo! It is anaphora. In the opening stanza, the use of and in line numbers 2, 3 and 4 successively is an example of anaphora. Now number 6. The road diverged into dash paths. Option A 3, option B 4, option C 2, option D 5. So the road separated into how many paths? Excellent! It separated, it diverged into 2 paths. Now number 7. The roads are an extended metaphor for dash. Option A are choices. Option B are feelings. Option C, woods. Or option D, autumn leaves. So what does roads represent in the poem? Beautiful! The roads are an extended metaphor for our choices. Now number 8. Better claim implies dash. Option A, regrets. Option B, individualism. Option C, preferable condition. Or option D, free will. Exquisite! Better claim implies preferable condition. Number 9. Wanted wear is an example of dash. Option A, anaphora. Option B, alliteration. Option C, antithesis. Or option D, paradox. So what is the figure of speech used in the phrase wanted wear? This is very simple. Excellent! It is an alliteration because both the terms begin with the letter W. Number 10. The road wanting to be worn out is an example of dash. Option A, hyperbole. Option B, hyperbaton. Option C, metonymy. Or option D, personification. Very good. It is a personification. Why is it a personification? Because we are attributing human-like qualities to the non-living road. The road is wanting, it is desiring. So it has been given some sort of a feeling. Now number 11. The term perhaps denotes the theme of dash. Option A, uncertainty. Option B, certainty. Option C, assurance. Or option D, resolute. Very good. It means uncertainty. Perhaps, the term perhaps, it evokes a sense of uncertainty. Now number 12. The second path was dash. Option A, dusty. Option B, black. Option C, trodden. Or option D, grassy. So what was the condition of the second path which the speaker chose? Correct. The second path was grassy. Remember, it was grassy and wanted wear. Number 13. Trodden black is an example of dash. Option A, hyperbole. Option B, hyperbaton. Option C, metonymy. Or option D, oxymoron. Whenever you are studying a poem, you must be familiar with all the literary terms. So, trodden black, this is an example of what? Very good. It is an example of hyperbaton because you have the inversion of the normal order. Instead of telling that the road was black trodden, what does the speaker say? That it was not trodden black. So you have inversion of the normal order of terms, and that is why it is an example of hyperbaton. We all know what a hyperbole is. Hyperbole is when you exaggerate things. So trodden black, this is not an exaggeration. It is not a metonymy. That is, it is not denoting something else. It is not representing any other word. It is not an oxymoron. Oxymoron is when two words of opposite meanings lie side by side. So this is not something like that. It is a hyperbaton, the inversion of the normal order. Now number 14. The speaker stood in the yellow wood in the dash. Option A, night. Option B, evening. Option C, afternoon. Or option D, morning. So at which point of the day was the speaker standing in the yellow wood? Very good. The speaker stood in the yellow wood in the morning. Number 15. Way leads on to way is an example of dash. Option A, dicope. Option B, simile. Option C, alliteration. Or option D, enjambment. Excellent! It is dicope. Dicope is a kind of repetition. So, way leads on to way is an example of dicope because you have two words, two similar words that are separated by a few words in between. So, it begins with way, it ends with way, and you have a few words leads on to in between. Now, number 16. The poem shows the conflict between fate and dash. Option A, regrets. Option B, roads. Option C, free will. Option D, uncertainty. So, it is a conflict between our destiny and what? Our fate and what? Oh yes, it is free will. The poem shows a conflict Between our free will and fate, our choices and our destiny. So the impact each of them has on the other is being portrayed, is being depicted in this poem. Now number 17. The repetition of the phrase, two roads diverged, in the opening and final stanza is an example of dash. Option A, hyperbaton. Option B, anaphora. Option C, polysyndeton. Or option D, metaphor. So what is it? The repetition of the same phrase, two roads diverged. Very good. It is an anaphora. Number 18. Ages and ages is an example of dash. Option A, oxymoron. Option B, hyperbaton. Option C, antithesis. Or option D, dicope. We just did it. Way leads on to way. Here again you have ages and ages. So this is an example of what? Yes, it is dicope. Ages and ages. It begins with the same term and ends with ages. The same word is being used and it is separated by the term and a single term. So this is a dicope, a repetition. Number 19. The speaker of this poem could have been inspired by dash. Remember, I told you Frost went hiking with one of his friends. So what was the name of that friend? Option A, Edmund Thomas. Option B, Edward Thomas. Option C, Thomas Hood. Or option D, Lawrence Thomas. What was the name of his friend? The Welsh pal. Correct. It was Edward Thomas. Option B. And we come to know about this from Lawrence's account. He had written that this Frost referred to Edward Thomas. That reference has been written by Lawrence. Number 20. The poem is divided into dash stanzas. Option A, 3. Option B, 4. Option C, 5. Or option D, 6. How many stanzas do you have in this poem? Yes, you have 4 stanzas. Now the final 5 questions. I hope you are keeping a track of your score. Number 21. The tone of the poem is dash. Option A, humorous. Option B, sensitive. Option C, hilarious. Or option D, introspective. So your note, they are asking you the tone. The tone of the poem. So how is it? Correct. It is introspective. It is reflective. Number 22. In the last stanza, the third line ends with I and the fourth line begins with I. This is an example of dash. Option A, anaphora. Option B, anadiplosis. Option C, personification. Or option D, metonymy. Right, it is anadiplosis. Whenever you end a line with a term and the very next line begins with the same term, it is called anadiplosis. So, this is an example of anadiplosis. Number 23. Robert Frost was an dash poet. Option A, American. Option B, African. Option C, Italian. Option D, Irish. So he belonged to... From where did Robert Frost belong? Yes, he was indeed an American poet. Number 24. The speaker ultimately chose the dash path. Option A, first. Option B, second. Option C, third. Option D, fourth. Which path did he choose? The grassy one. The path that wanted where? Which one was it? Yes, the better claim. The second path. The speaker ultimately chose the second path. Now the last MCQ. The sigh of the speaker is dash. Option A, ionical. Option B, paradoxical. Option C, humorous. Or option D, alliterative. Yes, correct. The sigh of the speaker in the last stanza is ionical. The poet uses an irony. Now that we have completed the explanation, the MCQ, and now that I see that you know the poem quite well, we will now quickly go through a few question answers that can come from this poem. So now question answer round. The road not taken by Robert Frost. Number 1. Where did the two roads diverge? Answer. The two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Now note here, whenever you are quoting words directly from the poem, you have to write them within double quotes. So because I have used the phrase yellow wood directly from the poem, I have put them within double quotes. Number 2. What was the speaker's regret? Answer. The speaker regretted that being one traveler, he could not explore both the roads. Number 3. Which of the two roads bent in the undergrowth? Answer. The first road observed by the speaker bent in the undergrowth. Number 4. What do you understand by undergrowth? Answer. The term undergrowth refers to a dense forest or jungle. Number 5. Which road did the speaker choose? Answer. The speaker chose the one less traveled by. 6. Why did the speaker choose the second path? The speaker chose the second path because it was grassy and wanted wear. It tempted the speaker with its better condition. 7. Explain. It was grassy and wanted wear. Answer. The less traveled road was covered with grass. The speaker personifies the path by stating that the path wanted him to walk on it. It tempted the speaker to trod on its grassy path. Number 8. What was the road covered with? The road was covered with leaves. Which season is referred to in the poem? The poem is set during the autumn season. Number 10. Explain. No step had trodden black. Answer. The speaker uses a hyperbaton in the quoted phrase to show that no traveler had walked on the leaves that morning. The leaves lacked the black footprints of the travelers. 11. What was the speaker aware of? What did this tell us about the speaker's decision? The speaker was aware that way leads on to way, and so he would never get the chance to explore the rejected path. This tells us that the speaker was doubtful about his decision. He was uncertain about his choice and therefore put it in a dilemma. Now, number 12. When would the speaker sigh and why? Now, whenever a same question has multiple parts, always preferably write the answers in separate paragraphs. So, when would the speaker sigh? The speaker would sigh after ages and ages from the day he made the decision to travel the less traveled path. And why would he sigh? The ultimate difference made by the speaker's decision on the speaker's life would make him sigh. 13. What would the speaker sigh? The speaker would sigh that two roads diverged in a wood and he travelled the less travelled one, which made all the difference in his life. 14. Briefly explain the use of road as an extended metaphor in the poem. Answer. The term road symbolically symbolizes our choices and decisions made in life, is an extended metaphor in the poem as it unfolds itself with the progress of the poem. Now this question is important. Justify the title of the poem. These justifications, comments, these are very important. So justify the title of the poem, The Road Not Taken. Answer. The title of the poem is appropriate because the poem revolves around the speaker's lamentation for being unable to travel both the roads. The speaker's doubt that he might never come back to explore the first for another day makes the title a suitable one. Number 16. What are the themes of the poem, The Road Not Taken? This again is very important. The poem shows how our choices in life make all the difference. It highlights the themes of uncertainty and lamentation. The conflict between free will and fate is also depicted with the dilemma of choices and need of individualism. 17. Give two examples of visual imagery used in the poem. You have many types of imageries. You have auditory imagery, visual imagery. This poem is ripe with visual imagery because you can visualize the words. You can visualize what has been written. So you have to give two examples where you can visualize in the poem. The yellow wood dividing into two parts and the grassy path covered with leaves are two examples of visual imagery used in the poem. So when you see the yellow wood, when you read the term yellow wood, you can always frame a picture in your mind of the autumn season where a man is standing and the road is diverging into two and the leaves, they are yellow. So you can visualize. This is a visual imagery. Moreover, the second road that was grassy, that gives you an image of a grassy road. Now, number 18. Comment on the tone and rhyme scheme of the poem. Answer. The tone of the poem is ionic as well as reflective. I told you, introspective. The poet presents a serious tone to depict a remorseful difference. So the outcome, that was lamenting, regretful. Now you have to say the rhyme scheme of the poem. The poem follows the ABAAB rhyme scheme. 19. Comment on the structure of the poem. Divided into 4 stanzas, the poem is composed in iambic tetrameter. The rhymes are masculine and on the mark. Using formal verse, the poem is structured around the extended metaphor of the road. And the final question, what is the relevance of the last 2 lines of the poem? Again, this is very important. The last 2 lines of the poem highlights the theme of regret. By addressing the lamentation of the speaker, the poet mocks his Welsh pal, Edward Thomas, who, whichever road he went, would be sorry he didn't go the other. The final lines projects the impact of free will on our destiny. So with this, we have completed all the possible questions that can come from this poem. In the comments below, I want you to write that which word in the poem suggests that it was autumn season. Now that we have completed the line-by-line explanation, MCQ and the question answers, I want you to quickly like and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to have a look at the explanation of other poems, other texts in your syllabus, do check out my playlist whose link I have given in the description below. Moreover, I have a WhatsApp channel and a Telegram channel where I share the notes as well as discuss grammar. So if you are willing, you can join them too. All the links will be given in the description below. So till I come with my next video, feel free to ask me any question from this poem in the comments. I will definitely answer. Till I come with my next video, happy studying English. Ta-ta!